Hi guys, as you've all now heard, sadly we've had to postpone the Invictus Games and move it to 2021. This was an incredibly difficult decision for all of us to have to make, and I'm so grateful for everybody that's worked so hard over the last couple of
Harry and Meghan humiliated as Ted Sarandos kicks them out of Netflix party. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into royal drama, celebrity power moves, and the stories everyone's whispering about. A night meant for celebration turns into shock. A glittering Hollywood night. Flashbulbs popping like fireworks. Champagne flowing. A-list celebrities gliding across the room like they were born on red carpets. And right at the center of it all, a Netflix power party hosted by none other than Ted Sarandos, the streaming giant's co-CEO. Imagine walking into that room as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Global recognition? Check. A multi-million-dollar Netflix deal? Check. A brand built on influence, storytelling, and reinvention? Also check. Everything should have gone smoothly, right? But what if the night didn't unfold the way anyone expected? Because whispers started circulating fast. Something fell off. And by the end of the evening, the headlines weren't about celebration anymore. They were about humiliation. So what really happened behind those velvet ropes? When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties, they didn't just leave behind titles. They stepped into a completely different world. Hollywood isn't Buckingham Palace. There are no guaranteed roles, no automatic loyalty, and definitely no patience for underperformance. Their Netflix deal was supposed to be a game changer. Big budgets, creative freedom, global reach. And for a moment, it worked. Their documentary series pulled massive numbers. People were curious, invested, and, let's be honest, a little nosy. But here's the thing about Hollywood. Curiosity fades. Fast. And once it does, what's left? That's where the pressure begins. Because in entertainment, you're only as valuable as your last success. So walking into a Netflix party isn't just about showing up. It's about proving you still belong. But did Harry and Meghan still belong in that room? Think luxury decor, dim golden lighting, top-tier actors, directors, producers, all mingling in a carefully curated ecosystem of influence. Ted Sarandos wasn't just hosting a party. He was hosting a statement. This was about power, about who's in, and who's quietly being pushed out. According to growing speculation, Harry and Meghan's presence didn't quite match the vibe of the evening. Not because they weren't famous, but because their position in the Netflix universe had become complicated. Awkward conversations, subtle glances, the kind of energy shift you feel before anything is actually said. Have you ever walked into a room and just knew you weren't as welcome as you thought? That's the feeling people claim was hanging in the air. But what could have triggered that? He's not just a host. He's a strategist. Every handshake, every invite, every conversation, it all means something. Netflix isn't built on emotions. It's built on results. And here's the uncomfortable truth. High-profile deals come with even higher expectations. If a project doesn't deliver, the tone changes. Quickly, there's been increasing chatter about Netflix reassessing its partnerships, focusing more on consistent performers rather than headline-grabbing names. So the question becomes, were Harry and Meghan still seen as valuable creators, or were they becoming a risky investment? Because if there's one thing Hollywood does well, it's quietly distancing itself from uncertainty. And sometimes that distance shows up in the most public ways. Reports and rumors suggest that Harry and Meghan may have been asked to leave, or at the very least, made to feel unwelcome enough that they exited early. Was it a direct confrontation, a subtle nudge, or simply a series of cold shoulders that spoke louder than words? In Hollywood, humiliation rarely looks like a dramatic scene. It's quieter, sharper. It's the conversation that ends too soon. The invite that suddenly feels conditional. The realization that the room has shifted and not in your favor. Whether or not Ted Sarandos literally kicked them out, the narrative that followed was clear. Something went wrong, and people noticed. But why does this moment feel bigger than just one party? Harry and Meghan have always been a fascinating contrast. Publicly, confident, polished, purposeful. Privately, at least according to speculation, navigating pressure expectations, and constant scrutiny. Moments like this hit differently because they challenge the image. If everything is going well, why the tension? If the partnership is strong, why the rumors? It raises questions that fans and critics can't ignore. And in today's world, perception is everything. One awkward moment can spiral into a full-blown narrative. But here's the deeper layer most people miss. This isn't just about a party. It's about positioning. Hollywood is unpredictable. One minute you're the center of attention. The next, you're fighting to stay relevant. It doesn't matter if you're royalty, an Oscar winner, or a viral sensation. The rules are the same for everyone. Deliver or drift. Harry and Meghan entered the industry with massive attention. But attention alone doesn't sustain a career. Consistency does. So this moment, whether exaggerated or not, feels like a turning point. A signal. A reminder that even the biggest names aren't immune to the industry's shifting priorities. And honestly, that's something anyone chasing success can relate to. Have you ever felt like expectations suddenly got heavier without warning? If there's one thing history has shown, it's this. Setbacks don't define people. What they do next does. Harry and Meghan are no strangers to controversy, reinvention, and public scrutiny. So the real story might not be what happened at that party. It's what happens after. Will they rise, rebrand, and reclaim their space? Or will this moment mark the beginning of a quiet shift away from the spotlight? Only time will tell. What do you think really happened that night? Was it a misunderstanding or a sign of bigger issues behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear your take.